Hi, and welcome to the Capricorn Rising channel. My name is Andrea, and I created this channel in order to bring some more clarity and understanding to this broad topic of astrology. My goal was to elaborate on how it is possible to use such an abstract tool, which is the knowledge of astrology, to improve one's life in very practical ways. Today's video is a big picture overview of what astrology is and how we can use it to consciously shape our lives. So let's jump right in. Anything born at a moment in time carries within its vibrational field the features and characteristics of that particular moment. This is a paraphrased quote by the well-known psychoanalyst and astrology researcher Carl Jung. If you take the time to really sit with that quote and let it digest a bit, it becomes kind of profound. It speaks to the highly intricate nature of individual human consciousness. This quote implies that when an individual soul emerges into this three-dimensional realm that we call life, it happens in a moment when the universe, in its entirety, is arranged in a very specific way. The universe is constantly arranging and rearranging itself, and that continual pattern of reordering is mirrored in everything we experience, if we are only able to recognize the patterns. Our desire to understand this ordering process of the universe has become quite evident through the hundreds, if not thousands, of forms of divination that have evolved throughout human history. Things like tasseomancy, or the reading of tea leaves in an attempt to predict the future. Divination has historically been man's attempt to observe the patterns of the universe and make sense of those patterns as the universe continually rearranges itself. To the uninitiated mind, this constant reordering may appear random and chaotic, but in reality, there are complex laws in place that create the algorithm which orders the chaos of this ever-expanding universe. What is so fascinating about this is that you can look at the general characteristics associated with any moment in time and see how those attributes are replicated in the events and the people that came into being in that moment. Therefore, time proves to be a stream of energy that is filled with unique qualities. So the fact that time has some kind of intrinsic flavor to it is already cool enough. And then you add in the human factor and things get even more interesting. Here's what astrologers have observed about human consciousness over the past few thousand years. At the moment of someone's birth, astrologers like to take a snapshot of that moment in time. We calculate where all of the known planetary bodies in the solar system are in zodiacal arrangement. Some astrologers use the tropical zodiac for their calculations, which is based on the Earth's orientation to the sun. The tropical zodiac has more to do with the trajectory of the sun across the ecliptic throughout the seasons, while other astrologers use the sidereal zodiac, which is a system based on the astronomical position of the constellations. The sidereal zodiac accounts for the precession of equinoxes, while the tropical zodiac does not. Potato, potato. Here's what you need to keep in mind. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which language you speak or which system you use for interpretation, as long as your language efficiently communicates your ideas and your system is an effective tool for objectively verifiable pattern recognition. And when it comes to astrology, both the tropical and the sidereal zodiac systems can be used as effective tools. They each have their own virtues, proving that there's more than one way to skin a carrot. So then how does astrology work to help us better understand what's happening in the world around us? Well, it has been observed that each planet corresponds with the manifestation of various different form realities. So an easily recognized example of this is Saturn-Pluto conjunctions corresponding with global epidemics like the development and spreading of AIDS in the 1980s, as well as COVID-19 in early 2020. Astrologers are able to track and even predict major world events based on certain astrological alignments. If you're a person who's interested in what's happening in the world on a global level, then this is often enough motivation to get you interested in astrology. My personal motivation for learning astrology had more to do with the realization that I could use these abstract symbols and patterns to help me understand human psychology on a deeper level. Astrologers and even psychoanalysts like Carl Jung observed that planetary movements not only correspond with events in mundane reality, they also correspond with certain internal psychological functions of the human mind. For example, Mars can represent things like our drive, initiative, action, the fight instinct, the expression of anger, the removal of stagnation, etc. And on the other hand, Saturn can represent the psychological urge toward restriction and limitation, discipline, authority, internal and external order, and things of that nature. If it's possible to effectively map the components of the human psyche like astrology has managed to do, then it's not that much of a stretch to realize that we can leverage different moments in time, also known as transits, to manipulate reality in our favor. We can also use astrology as a tool for self-development, or as Carl Jung called it, self-actualization, the process of getting closer to actualizing the innate potential of our highest self. We can also use astrology as a relational tool to help us better understand the people around us and why we relate to them in such unique ways. We can also use astrology as a spiritual tool to help us reset our karma by becoming aware of the forms that the individual psyche is going to continually recreate over the course of our lives. As you can see, there are so many practical uses for astrology. And for those who deny that astrology is real or useful, it's simply because they don't see it. Maybe it's because these doubters haven't taken the necessary time to really dig into astrological systems in order to better understand them. The reality is that you can't effectively use something that you can't see and haven't personally experienced. But I will say this, and everybody who practices astrology knows this to be true. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. The truth needs no defense. You don't have to believe in it. It is what it is. Your ability to perceive the archetypal patterns that are illuminated through astrology is really all you need in order to be able to access it. So this has been my brief introduction to astrology, what it means, and what we can get out of it. I'm glad that you're here, and I hope you're able to take away some useful insights from this channel and the content that I create. If so, then do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so that you can stay in the loop whenever I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.